The evening sky bled into a bruised purple as the last edge of sunlight sank behind the rolling Texas hills. The wind had a strange bite to it that night, cold and dry, the kind that carried whispers through the mesquite trees and made the cattle restless. Rancher Cole Turner tightened the worn strap on his saddle and gave his horse, Dusty, a gentle pat on the neck. "Easy, boy," he murmured. "Ain't nothin' out here but wind." But even as he said it, he didn't believe himself. Cole had lived alone on this land for almost 10 years since his father passed. He'd grown used to silence, to the hum of crickets and the howl of coyotes. But tonight, the quiet felt different, too thick, too alive. Something about the air made the hair on his arms stand up. He was heading back toward the barn when he noticed it. Near the old well, the one nobody used since the drought, something white was lying in the dirt. At first, he thought it was a rag caught by the wind. But it wasn't moving, not even with the gust sweeping across the plains. Cole walked closer, boots crunching on the dry earth. It was a bundle, wrapped tight in a tattered white cloth, the corners darkened with dust and something else. A red string bound it carefully, like someone had gone to great lengths to keep it sealed. "What the hell?" he muttered, crouching down. The bundle was small, maybe the size of a loaf of bread. He picked it up, feeling its weight, heavier than it looked. A faint, unpleasant warmth pulsed through the cloth, like the thing inside was alive. He froze. Somewhere behind him, the wind stopped. The sound of crickets died. Even Dusty let out a low, uneasy whinny. Cole turned slowly, scanning the dim horizon. That's when he saw her. A woman stood about 20 feet away, half hidden by the long shadows of the cottonwoods. She was barefoot, her dress torn at the hem, her dark hair tangled around her face. Her skin looked pale, almost gray under the moonlight, and her eyes, those eyes, they held something that made Cole's stomach twist. She didn't move at first, just watched him. Then, in a voice thin as the wind, she whispered, "Please, don't take the cloth off." Cole straightened up, bundle still in hand. "Ma'am, you okay? You hurt?" She stepped forward, shaking her head violently. "You don't understand," she said, her voice trembling. "Put it back. Leave it by the well. Don't touch it again." Cole frowned. "Now hold on, what is this? You lost something." Her eyes darted to the bundle, then back to him. "It's not lost," she said quietly. "It's buried. It's meant to stay that way." A chill crept up Cole's spine. "You're saying there's something dangerous in here?" She hesitated, biting her lip. "Not dangerous," she whispered. Cursed. Cole almost laughed, almost. But there was something about her tone, the way she looked past him like she was seeing something else, something that wasn't there, that made him stop. "Ma'am," he said carefully, "if someone's buried something dangerous on my land, I got a right to know what it is." Her face changed, the fear hardened into something desperate. She took another step closer, voice shaking. "You can't open it. If you do, he'll wake up." Cole's fingers tightened around the cloth. The woman's breath came in shallow bursts. "My husband." Cole blinked, unsure he heard right. "Your husband's in this." "No," she said quickly. "Not his body. His spirit. His anger." Her eyes filled with tears. "He wasn't always like that. Before the fever took him, he was kind. But when he died, something dark came for him. The priest told me to bind it, to wrap it and bury it deep. It was the only way to keep him still." The wind picked up again, swirling around them, lifting the edges of her torn dress. The horses in the barn started kicking at their stalls, neighing frantically. Dusty snorted, pulling at his reins. Cole swallowed. "Lady, if you need help, I can drive you into town." "No," she screamed, startling him. "Don't move it from here. If you take it too far from the well, it'll follow." Cole took a step back. "Now listen." But the woman suddenly fell to her knees, sobbing, her hands clutching the hem of his jeans. "Please," she begged, "don't take the cloth off. Don't let him see the light again." He didn't know what to do. She looked half crazed, but there was a kind of pain in her voice that felt too real to ignore. "All right," he said softly. "All right, I won't open it. Just calm down." Slowly, she lifted her head. Her eyes glistened in the dim light. "You promise?" "I promise," he said. "I'll keep it just like it is." She nodded, then looked past him toward the hills. "He's been quiet for so long," she murmured. "Don't wake him." And with that, she stood and began walking away, barefoot, into the darkness. Within moments, she was gone, swallowed by the night. Cole stood there for a long while, the bundle heavy in his hands. The air seemed to settle again, the crickets slowly returning, the wind softening to a sigh. He told himself it was nonsense, old superstition from someone gone mad with grief. Still, when he brought the bundle into his barn, he didn't unwrap it. He set it on a table beside a lantern and stared at it. The red string gleamed faintly under the flickering light, almost as if it were pulsing. He sat down, rubbed his temples, and let out a slow breath. Crazy woman, he muttered. There ain't no such thing as curses. But then he heard it, a sound so faint he almost missed it. A whisper, coming from the bundle. It was too soft to make out the words, but it had a rhythm, like breathing. Cole froze, staring at the cloth. Dusty whinnied again from the stall, kicking the door. And then, the red string twitched. Cole's hand went instinctively to his revolver. The whisper stopped, replaced by an eerie silence that pressed against his ears. He could feel it now, that warmth again, faint but there, radiating through the table. He backed away, heart pounding. Outside, a coyote howled, long and low, echoing through the valley. Cole turned down the lantern flame and sat in the dark, listening to the slow, steady beat of the wind against the barn walls. The woman's words echoed in his mind, "Don't take the cloth off." He didn't sleep that night. And when the morning sun finally crept through the slats of the barn, the bundle was still there, but the red string looked looser than before. The morning sun crept through the cracks of the old barn, laying stripes of light across the dusty floor. Cole Turner's eyes burned from a sleepless night. He hadn't dared to move the bundle or even touch it again. But the red string, he could swear it wasn't tied the same way anymore. He'd left it bound tight, triple knotted, just like he found it. Now, one loop had slackened, the end of the string coiled loosely like something had tugged it from inside. Cole poured himself a cup of cold coffee and stared at it, the steam rising in the cool dawn. Just the wind, he muttered, though his voice sounded hollow even to himself. Dusty paced nervously in the stall, nostrils flaring. The cattle outside were uneasy too, their low moans echoing across the field. Something had changed in the air. It felt heavy, like the world was holding its breath. Cole finally stood, rubbing the grit from his eyes. "All right," he said to no one. "Let's end this nonsense." He took the bundle and carried it out into the open field. The morning light caught the faint red stains on the white cloth, not rust, not paint. It looked too dark, too deep for that. The ground near the well was still damp from dew. He placed the bundle down beside it. "This is where you came from," he said quietly. "And this is where you'll stay." But the words sounded foolish. He felt like a man trying to reason with thunder. The wind blew again, dry and cutting. For a moment, Cole thought he heard a voice carried in it, faint, female. "Don't take the cloth off." He shook his head. "I ain't talkin' it off," he said aloud, though a part of him already knew he would. All day, the thought gnawed at him. He tried working the fence line, feeding the stock, cleaning the troughs, anything to keep his hands busy. But every time he turned his back, his mind drifted back to the bundle. To what might be inside. By late afternoon, he couldn't stand it anymore. He went back to the barn, the golden light of sunset spilling through the doorway. The bundle sat on the table where he'd first left it that night. He could hear his own heartbeat in his ears. "She's probably crazy," he told himself. "No curse, no spirit. Just some superstition." But his hands trembled as he reached for the red string. The first knot came undone easily. Too easily. It was like the cloth wanted to be opened. Dusty neighed sharply in the stall, slamming a hoof against the wood. Cole froze, but curiosity had already swallowed his fear. He pulled at the second knot. The red string slid away. The barn seemed to grow colder, shadows stretching long and thin along the walls. "All right," he whispered. "Let's see what you're hidin', old girl." He peeled back the cloth. Inside was something carved out of wood, a mask, small enough to fit a man's face, but detailed with such precision it seemed alive. The surface was dark, stained like it had been soaked in something long ago. The eyes were hollow but deep, and strange markings ran along the cheeks, symbols he didn't recognize. Cole leaned closer. "What in God's name?" Then the air shifted. It started as a whisper, soft, like someone exhaling near his ear. He spun around, but no one was there. When he turned back, the mask had changed position. It was tilted upward now, staring directly at him. Cole stumbled back. No, he breathed. That's not possible. The lantern flickered violently, the flame dancing wild. The wind outside began to howl, rattling the doors, sweeping dust through the cracks. Cole backed away, his pulse racing. He snatched the cloth and tried to wrap it again, but the red string had slipped from the table, as if it had crawled away. Then came the voice. It was low, broken, like breath through dry leaves. You shouldn't have looked. Cole froze. Who's there? The mask trembled on the table, its hollow eyes glowing faintly red. The whisper deepened, becoming a growl. You let me see the light, after all this time. The barn doors slammed shut on their own. The lantern shattered, plunging the place into darkness. Cole grabbed his revolver, heart hammering. Stay back, he shouted into the black. But the darkness moved. It wasn't just shadow, it shifted, flowing along the floor, climbing the walls, circling him like smoke. The mask rose into the air, turning slowly, the carved mouth opening just enough for a sound to escape, a long, guttural breath. You buried me alive, the voice hissed. Cole's hand shook violently. Who are you? The voice laughed, hollow, broken, full of hatred. You know who I am, she told you. The woman's face flashed in his mind, her pale skin, her trembling voice, her tears. Your husband, he whispered. The mask stopped turning. The air grew colder, the smell of rotten smoke filling the barn. She promised me forever, the voice said. But when the fever came, she was the one who bound me, trapped me in darkness. Cole backed away until he hit the wall. I didn't mean to. You freed me. The mask lunged forward, faster than his eyes could follow. Cole fired. The gunshot thundered through the barn, once, twice, but the bullets passed through nothing. The mask hung inches from his face, its empty eyes burning. The world tilted. His breath caught in his throat. Then he saw something inside those hollow eyes, shapes, flickering like memory. A woman's scream. A fire. A man thrashing against ropes, begging, cursing. And the same red string, wrapping around his wrists, around his face, pulling tighter, tighter. Cole cried out and stumbled backward. Stop. I didn't know. The mask hovered still. Then, slowly, it lowered to the ground. The red string, as if alive, began to slither back toward it, winding around the wood once more. The voice softened. I will rest, when she joins me. And then it was gone. The air lightened. The wind outside fell silent again. Cole sank to his knees, gasping, staring at the mask now still on the floor, wrapped neatly again, the red string tied in perfect knots. He didn't tie them. For hours he sat there, shaking, until dawn broke again. He finally carried the bundle back to the well, digging with his bare hands until the earth gave way. He placed it deep inside, covering it with soil until it vanished from sight. As he stood, he felt the first warmth of sunrise touch his face. But when he turned to head back to the house, he froze. By the edge of the field stood the woman, the same one, her white dress fluttering in the wind. Only this time, her eyes weren't pleading. They were empty. Thank you, she whispered. Now he's waiting for me. And before Cole could speak, she faded, like mist in sunlight, leaving only silence behind. The ranch stayed quiet after that. The cattle calmed. The wind softened. But every night, when Cole passed by the well, he could swear he heard faint whispers rising from below, a man's breath and a woman's voice, murmuring together in the dark earth. And sometimes, if the moon was bright enough, the red string could still be seen, glinting faintly in the dirt.